Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about the same thing that we've been talking about every week, the A7S III and how it's changed my life. Okay, maybe not my life, but like the way I use a camera. So yeah, this is basically a list of my favorite things about this camera, but more than that, the things about this camera specifically that changed the way I shoot day to day, whether it's for YouTube, for work, for Instagram. Let's break those down, but before we get started, 1,000 subs, y'all. We freaking did it. Thank you so much. Like, I'm super hyped. Like, I know that's not a lot in the grand scheme of YouTube, but that's a lot to me, and it's a big milestone. So thank you if you're subscribed. If you're not, if you want to see videos about making videos, about Sony cameras, about Premiere Pro, all those sorts of things, hit subscribe down below, join the family. Just thank you, I appreciate it. And with that said, if you like this video, if it helps you out in any way, please click the like button down there. That helps grow the channel, helps new people see these videos. Anyway, thank y'all, and let's talk about this camera. Okay, so number one, Catalyst Browse Stabilization. Y'all, it's so good, and I don't think any of us knew that stabilization software could do something like this. I made a whole video about it if you want to check it out. But in short, whereas previously, to get a smooth shot, if I was shooting handheld, I'd have to be shooting at 120 frames per second. Now I shoot a relatively wild amount of handheld footage in 60 FPS and even in 24 frames per second. Like, it's that good. I can get smooth, gimbal-looking shots in full real time, which just, it adds a whole nother look. Sometimes I don't want to be in slow motion. Sometimes I want to have like a cinematic, filmic 24 frames per second, but it still not be like freaking shaky. Look at the focus tracking. Okay, we're gonna move autofocus to number 2 because I looked at the screen and the dot, it's on my eye. The focus tracking is so good. It's so good. This is the first camera that I've used where I can just tap the screen on my subject and they can walk wherever they want in the frame and it's gonna be in focus. I'm not having to pull focus. I'm not having to like correct my autofocus. No, if I wanna do some certain blocking on a scene, I can tell the subject, hey, when I call action, you walk over there and then do this and then do that. I do my camera movement, they do their movement, and it's in focus the whole time. So number 3 is 10-bit color. 10-bit color for me means that I can shoot in S-Log3 and utilize the wild dynamic range that S-Log3 gives. On all the previous Sony cameras, using S-Log3 was super discouraged for a good reason. The 8-bit footage just couldn't be pushed far enough to make it worth it. If you tried to push 8-bit S-Log3, it would break apart, you would get artifacts, it was ugly. That's not what we're trying to do here, but now I know that I'm constantly getting the max amount of dynamic range out of this camera. And that's super important to me because dynamic range is honestly probably #1 factor for me in getting cinematic footage. All right, 3 more, let's hit it. This one's quick, this one's easy. Number 4, low light capabilities. I rarely, if ever, worry about pushing my ISO. And that used to be like one of the main things I thought about when I shot. Is my ISO too high? Is this gonna be too grainy? I don't know. I used to think about that constantly, as you should when you're using a camera, regardless of what camera it is. But it's really nice to not worry about it as much with this camera. If you wanna hear my in-depth thoughts on that, check out this video. I talk about what ISOs you should use, what ISOs you definitely shouldn't use, some of the lower ones actually. Check it out if you haven't already. I didn't know it was gonna be this good when I bought it. Let's talk about number 5, all 4K, all day. Everything I shoot now is in 4K and I freaking love that. And yes, it is because of the quality upgrade. It is because we've gone from 1080 to 4K for not just 24, but 60 and 120 frames per second. But it's another one of those things kind of like S-Log where I know that everything I'm shooting is in 4K. I can treat it all the same and it's one less thing for me to think about. No matter what, if it needs to be cropped, I can crop it in. No matter what, it's all gonna be 4K. I don't have to think about, oh, my 24 FPS is gonna be really high quality, really sharp, but my 1080 120 isn't gonna be as sharp and it's gonna look a little soft. With that said, 1080, there's nothing wrong with it at all. If you're using the A7 III and you're using the 1080 120, yeah, it may be like a little bit soft. It's a phenomenal camera. It's still one of the best cameras out there in my opinion. Use it, it's awesome. Oh, and last but not least, can we get a drum roll, please? You already know what it is. The thing that they needlessly held back from us for years. The flip screen, baby. Let's go. Let's freaking go. You know how much time I saved having a flip screen setting up this shot? A lot of time. Usually, to set up a shot like this, I would get my camera on the tripod, the GorillaPod, set it up with the Wi-Fi app. It would disconnect like 4 times or it wouldn't work, or it would take like 20 minutes. And then where's my phone? And then I'd have to be like, and when you're looking at this, you're not looking at the camera, so you can't see what your frame is gonna look like. Oh gosh, like that would make me not want to record YouTube videos because I'm gonna spend an hour and a half setting up the shot. Along with that, operating the camera, shooting videos, shooting photos, just having, you know, all the flip screen things. If I'm up here, I flip the screen down. I'm looking, oh yeah, that's looking good. If I'm down here, okay, you could do this with the old screen. If I'm down here, flip it up, oh good. Oh, if I'm over here, I'm flipping it to the side. If I'm over here, I'm flipping it to the other side. It's fully articulating. That's all I have to say. But y'all, this was a really fun video to make. Thank you so much for watching to this point. If you're interested in getting this camera, just know it might change your life a little bit. Again, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, if you had a good time, hit like down there. Helps grow the channel, helps get new viewers in. But yeah, that's all I have for y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all, it means a ton to me, so thanks. And I'll see y'all next week.